of all, thanks for having us. And I think the purpose today is to dive a little bit in on the esports side, like share with you our daily work and how we view esports, and hopefully there's something that you can take with you. Before we do that, let me introduce you to Lasha. Lasha is CPO of Atlas Live, so couldn't have a better person in place when it comes to the product itself and how you view esports. And then obviously we have Tom here, the CEO of Savage Tech, and you've been in esports for 20 plus years.
Way too long.
To start off this session, I'll talk from my kind of view and where we stand today as data. That we see a huge increase in in-play betting in normal. In-play betting sometimes for us is somewhere in the 75% of the revenue that we see. So naturally, in-play betting for esports is huge. So I think there is no better question to start off with than actually asking you guys, and starting with you, Lasha, what's the importance of official data in esports?
Thanks for the question. Hi everyone, I'm Lasha. I represent Atlas Live, so we're a B2B platform provider, so I'm going to be speaking from the platform perspective. The question itself, let's say clean data, right? Why do we need it? Why it's so important for us? First of all, the first thing is real-time updates. Because of the nature of esports, I would say we have in-play betting there, we have odds that change in seconds like this, so we need to be sure that our end user gets the up-to-date information, the latest data. So yeah, that's the first thing. Another thing is the data integrity itself, and the trust to data provider, because we as a platform should trust the data provider so that the end user trusts us. If there are any errors, if there is any data latency, then the end user they will for sure change the platform because they're demanding, they don't want to see errors, so this is the second thing. And the third thing I would say is the sheer volume of the data that clean data providers give us, give to platforms, so that we can capitalize on that. We can, I don't know, use data insights, build different engagement mechanisms on top of this data. So that's that. And the fourth thing I would say is the regulation, because when the regulator sees your platform and looks at your data provider and sees that you got a clean data with a data provider, then it's kind of easier for us to get regulated, to pass the regulation. So yeah, that's that.
Okay, good. And Tom, from a trading standpoint, what are the benefits that we should be aware of? Like the days of trading Twitch is over with.
Yeah, okay. I'm very thankful that those old days of trading are over. I mean, I've been working on the operator side of things for roughly 12 years, and just to give you a little anecdote, when I first started at Digibet, which is a German sports betting company, I introduced League of Legends, StarCraft 2, Counter-Strike, and Dota 2 to their product portfolio. And I had to trade those games live myself based on Twitch. So my friend, who was also a trader, was sitting right next to me. And we were both reloading the stream on Twitch to see who had the less latency going on. And that worked quite well for us until we started to offer LCK. I don't know if you're familiar with LCK. That was the Korean League of Legends, Bundesliga or Championship Series. And for whatever reason, we developed a sub-bet called First Blood. It's basically similar to First Goal, right? And we were trading that game, and when we offered LCK, there were always people who were like 30 seconds faster than we were, so they were placing those bets who got it, and we had no chance of actually stopping them. So what happened? They had actually zero latency because they were sitting in the studio watching the games, and they had WhatsApp groups, and until we figured that out, let's just say my bosses were not too happy about the loss that we generated through that. But just to come back to your question, Otto, thankfully technology caught up, and the working with official match data is that there's almost an endless possibility of what you can do with it if you're creative enough, if you work with a product or service provider who is state of the art, who actually wants to do something with you. So for example, in a game like Counter-Strike 2, you could actually bet on the exact pixel where the first bullet is being fired at. You know, this is something that you cannot do in any real sports where you're just trying to triangulate the football. But it's these kind of things that make live betting on esports so much more interesting. Because at the end of the day, you can basically do whatever you want with it. You know, let it be the first bullet, let it be how many turns, how did the player go, how often did the player press on A, W, S, D, for example. All of these things, which could be great over-under market, by the way, but all of these things are actually possible because we're getting zeros and ones directly from the server. And I know there are a lot of data scraper out there, companies that are not getting the official match data. And of course, it's a much cheaper solution. But at the end of the day, if you want to be safe, if you want to guarantee that your traders, that your risk management, can actually fulfill their job and you can actually generate money, then official match data is the way to go.
I think also it's the nature of the sports. It's quite different in what we see in ordinary football, basketball, tennis in the sportsbook. The risk management, as you mentioned, Tom, is like it's so important to have what we refer to the clean feed to be able to stay on top of it and to ultimately have a profitable product in place.
Absolutely. So just one more story. When you compare League of Legends, which has 5 players on the field, with football, which has most of the times 11, back in those days, when you had one player who had a problem, a private matter to attend to, the entire team performance dipped by roughly 20%, and there are no substitutes, rarely there are substitutes. So what we had to do back then was screening all the personal social media channels from those players. Did one of them go through a breakup? Did one of the girlfriends broke up with the player just recently, And we had to take that into account because the effect was so drastic across on those odds. And nowadays when we have like over 30 different esport titles, I don't want to be the person who has to follow all of those players on social media. And I'm very thankful that there are companies out there who are doing it for me.
Yeah. One question that I have is how can we be touching on it all the time? Like how can we become successful in sports betting? Well, I kind of wanted to go with this is a bit deeper into from a B2B side, and when you're kind of going packaging products, how do you go about this, and what kind of adaptations are you considering or doing in terms of various markets that you're serving clients in?
I guess not only packaging products, but packaging the offered solution itself. So first of all, what we do is, from the B2B standpoint, we offer information, we offer guidance, we do research of the audience. So the first thing is to know your audience, right? Once you know your audience, then you understand how to design the platform, how to design your offerings, how to design the campaigns. Another thing is that we offer technology, right? You need a robust technology to be able to receive a huge amount of data, huge amount of bets, huge amount of in-play bets, especially in esports. So the second thing is technology. And we basically give these tools to our clients, the B2C operators, so that they can use all of these tools, all of this knowledge to be successful, basically. Another thing that we provide is the automation tools and personalization tools. So, as I've said, the younger demographic is too demanding. So they know how the Netflix works, they know how these big subscription companies work. So it's not a nice-to-have feature right now. In iGaming, it's a must-have feature because the end user is expecting to receive personalized offers, maybe personalized front-end as well. So you as a platform got to be able to give this type of technology to your client. to be successful. And the fourth thing is I would say the agility and scalability and flexibility of the platform, because the other guys were talking about the regulations in Poland, regulations in Brazil, etc. And no one knows what's going to happen in the future, so you should be scalable, you should have a modular architecture in order to cover all the aspects that's unknown for us right at the moment. So yeah, there's that.
And if we flip that question around a little bit, and we go instead of how are we going to be successful in esports? If we then flip that around, Tom, and say, like, what are the pitfalls that you have experienced or seen operators do? What are the classic kind of pitfalls that we see and we should avoid in order for us to be successful?
Are you referring to my own mistakes that I made on the operator side? Sure. I mean, I think the first thing that we all need to understand, because we're working in such a wonderful industry, is that, it sounds weird, but we have a certain responsibility towards the esports ecosystem. I co-founded two of Germany's biggest teams, Mousesports and Big Man, and I can tell you, just looking at the P&L from those teams, that sports betting sponsorships, they make up for the majority of the revenue that the teams are generating, right? So this is the first thing. The second thing is, esports is always gaming, but gaming is not always esports, which means that if you're looking at the TAM, let's say Counter-Strike 2, right? And you're looking at, oh wow, those are 100 million players globally that we could potentially attract to our brand. Yeah, but only less than 10% of them are actually esport players. What does esport actually mean? It means that you're playing this game competitively against each other, but you are elevating this to be in a team, and you are playing in external leaderboards and external ladders. And I think this is one of the biggest mistakes that I'm seeing, is that you are just trying to advertise in general gaming portals, trying to sway those casual players to actually come to your platform and make a deposit. And I'm not saying that I did this in the past, but I can tell you it did not work, right? And the second thing is, and I think Aneta in the previous panel here said it, because she said that she was sponsoring local ambassadors and local teams, really important, right? But don't expect to get a huge return on advertisement spent out of it, because just plastering the logo on an esport team and thinking, okay, this is going to drive so many FTDs to my portal, it's just not going to work, right? At the same time, there are amazing opportunities to work with these kind of teams, because they are much more willing to actually work for the money. Let's put it this way. So if you're sponsoring FC Chelsea, you know exactly how many hours you are getting with those kind of players, how often they will be appearing in one of your shows or in your content. But with esport teams, you have actually a lot of leeway with them, because they are so dependent on your money. And I don't want to stress this out, because I'm also on the team side of things, but this is the opportunity to actually maximize the amount of content hours that you can get out of a team by saying, look, we're sponsoring you for 250, 500,000. The bigger teams, they go for 2 to 3 million a year, or even more than that, right? But we better make this count. And the second thing is, because you have direct access to those players and to the management, creating those can't buy experiences for your VIP players that are exclusively betting on esports, it's much more feasible to actually pull that off compared to regular football, for example.
Interesting. Which kind of leads then to my third question, which is around, like, again, as we say, like I said, the opportunities that we have, not only the challenges and things we need to be aware of, but the opportunities. And so, from that standpoint, Aisha, what do you see in the industry to be the product trends, the needs? What are clients asking you for in terms of added products, added value, and also the user journey comes into play here from a product standpoint? How do you view that? What do you see in the industry?
Yeah, one thing is what they're asking for, and the other thing is that what they're really doing with the tools that they have, right? So I'm in a position to kind of have a look at the successful projects and the ones that are not as successful. And I would say the common thing in successful projects is that they understand their audience, they localize, and it doesn't mean that they only have local language, etc., translate, and that's it. So they understand the nuances of the country, of the market where they're operating. Another thing is that we, as a platform, we kind of combine different features, different products and services so that we create one full, immense user experience. One thing is clean data, another thing is video streaming, right? Because from the end user's perspective, you gotta be able to make an in-play bet once while you're watching an event live. You don't need to go somewhere else to watch, basically. So that's the thing. Also, because of the fact that it's a younger generation, sports users are basically younger generation, right? Because of that fact, those guys love gamification, and that's when service providers like Tom's come into hands, because the gamification is the key right now. So we as a platform make sure that we have all the tools, all the necessary tools in place, so that our clients can build different type of user journeys, can try different things, and they're covered basically from every direction. So yeah, that's the thing. Understanding the user, giving them also wide variety of the product itself, because right now we are talking about League of Legends, Counter-Strike, etc., but there are other games that I guess none of us right now know, because there are some niche games that are really important. So once the user joins your platform, they gotta be able to play the game that they want. So offering wide variety of product is also really important for success.
Good. And Tom, like, again, couldn't have a better person in the room with this question, but like taking that deeper, then we talk about gamification, we talk about added value in that sense. Any trigger tactics that we should be aware of that you see?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to take you back down memory lane once more, in 2010 we signed a player called Ocelot. Does anyone know here Ocelot from SKA? One person over there. Great. Best League of Legends player in the world at that time. He had a staggering 100,000 Facebook likes. I mean, I know, it's unbelievable, this number. And we signed him, we put him in a video spot, we made sure that he appears, looks, and talks like a real superstar, a real sports athlete. And then back in those days, you were still allowed to advertise on Twitch, right? So we broadcasted directly when the LCS, which is the European League of Legends Championship Series, when that was being broadcasted. And just to give you some numbers, and by the way, I've never achieved these kind of numbers ever again. We spent 20,000 euro on that campaign, and we generated over 5,000 FTDs out of it within 24 hours. So did not manage to get this ever again. It became more and more expensive over the years. But one of the strongest triggers that I've learned over time, and I've done multiple campaigns and tries from an operator side of point of view, it's not enough just to sponsor the Counter-Strike tournament, for example. Obviously, Riot does not allow for you to sponsor League of Legends, but it's just not good enough anymore just to slap your logo on there. Twitch nowadays forbids you to heavily or aggressively advertise, YouTube as well. Do you want to go to Kick that is owned by Stake.com? Probably not, right? And then you have the problem if you want to start your own tournament, which by far I'm going to address this shortly, which has the best method to actually hooking players to go to your website. Where do you actually start to generate that reach? So in the past, because it takes time and effort and money to build up your own channel, that it be on Twitch, that it be on Kick, very often you become impatient and you don't want to spend one full year until you can actually reap the rewards out of it. So what do you have to do if you are basically buying into influencers that are then streaming your content on their own channel, which you later on have to pay again for when your own content managed to grow the streamer's reach organically. And this was always bugging me. So I can only say if you're serious about Counter-Strike, for example, try to build up your own presence where you can actually stream that content. And the second thing is, and yeah, this is by far the strongest hook that I've engaged. If you own the broadcast from A to Z, and that actually means that you are the one paying the host, the moderator, because now they're actually doing what you want from them, create a tournament, let those moderators, during the downtime when the maps are changing, create a charity betting competition out of it. They have to go on your website during the stream. The community in the Twitch chat is voting who they think is going to take the next map, and then you as a bookmaker potentially double the winnings, or you add a certain percentage on top, and let the community vote for that. And this has by far been the strongest hook in order to get those users who are watching the stream onto your platform and register. And obviously you have to do your homework, right? Don't let the traffic just hit the main page and you can't see any esports. Create a landing page out of it, make it comfortable for them. But I have been doing this in the past. I've been doing this, for example, for the Merkur group Gausemann here in Germany, when esports betting was still allowed. And yeah, those numbers, they make sense.
I can add one thing from the platform side. The social features like chats, forums, competing with each other work really, really well. I guess that's because of the nature of the modern beta, esports beta, right? Because they're the gamers, they used to play Counter-Strike, let's say, and they used to chat with their friends, compete with each other. So that's the thing. That's why.
Yeah. And then, for example, esports is always a global phenomenon, right? Who can tell me the most attractive, the most played game, for example, in India from a mobile game perspective? Anyone an idea?
Cricket.
Apologies, esports only. It's PUBG Mobile, or it's not being called PUBG Mobile because there are some licensing issues. It's being called PUBG Mobile, for example, in Brazil. And the last tournament in Brazil that was being broadcast on Twitch had 600,000 concurrent viewers. But if you're looking to bet on PUBG Mobile, you can't find anything because the offering is just not there, right? So we have to go back and think, hey, why is no one actually doing it? Is it because it's a mobile game and the demography is so much younger compared to Counter-Strike that is, I think, 25 years old by this time? But what I want to say with it is esports hunters is going to be your new generation, your new demographic that is going to populate your sports books. And if you don't cater to them now, you're going to lose out in the long run, because the people who place bets on horse racing, eventually they are going to die out.
Good one.
That's a very good point.
Last but not least, I do want to have some time if there's any questions in the room, but to kind of finish off then with kind of growth opportunities. I know we speak a lot about LATAM, especially from a provider with DataBet. Growth, Brazil is a hot topic. We hear it throughout the year on events, but here in Europe, Basha, do we still feel we see a steady growth in esports for the partners that are doing the good work on that side? Is it still a big ask? Are you still being asked for partners? And do you see that kind of growth?
The short answer would be yes. We do see it, and that's not going to stop. That's because of what Tom said, right? Because it's not upcoming generation, and those guys want remuneration. Those guys want winning right now. So that's why esports, especially in-play betting, esports is super popular, and it's going to grow because the older generation, let's say it's going to hang up, but we will see more and more casino-like elements in sports as well, where you basically have the result right now in this moment. So yeah, that's the way to go. That's the way to look at this product.
Tom, you see the same thing?
If I just look at the esports ecosystem right now without betting, we are in the so-called esports winter. A lot of funding is being pulled out of esports as we speak. Companies have over-invested into this space. I mean, just a few years back then, you know, all of those American teams like TSM, Cloud9, they were raising money at a $350 million valuation, and I can assure you none of them actually made it to being a unicorn. When I look at esports betting, being a trend, being something that is here to stay, absolutely. It's an amazing opportunity for everyone to be involved and to actually capture this new audience, but we have to be smarter about it, right? So I always say that for the new generation Y and Z, all of the sports books, they look like colored Excel sheets, you know, and we're not providing anything to them that what they're being used to. So when I look at the 18, 19, 20-year-old male who potentially are watching esports, who are following esports, who would be the prime target to convert to your sports book, where do they spend their time? They're consuming mobile content for more than 1 hour per day, at least, and they're used to that quick dopamine rush from TikTok. So you have probably less than 50 seconds to actually capture their attention, and you have to make it so very easy for them to actually navigate your own page. So for example, I don't know how many of you played Super Mario Bros. Back in the days on the Super Nintendo. That game was tough, right? There was no save point in the middle, and there was no tutorial that showed you how to play this game. Nowadays, all of these games have been watered down. They show you exactly how to play the game. And unfortunately, this is just the trend with this younger generation, that they want to be handheld. So if you sponsor a team like BRG from Germany, for example, and you expect that those users who see your logo and maybe BRG is doing an activation for you, where they obviously can't say, go there and place a bet, but rather, hey, this is very entertaining, this is fun. And then those users are gonna come to your sportsbook or your casino, and they don't get like a tutorial telling them exactly, you have to click here to register, then you have to send in your passport details, or you have to verify who you are. And I'm not even talking about crypto, because that is even less people in that esports audience know about how to deal with crypto. If you don't do that, then you're going to be very disappointed with the kind of money that you're investing into this space, because you are losing out on a lot of young people who can't figure it out for themselves how to actually play and register at a sportsbook.
Interesting. And I think that's a great kind of ending to our session today. I know we only had 35 minutes here, but I wanted to make some time for some questions as well, if there are any questions in the room. And maybe Sultan, you can help me with that if there's, yeah. So, any questions for the panel? Here we go.
An easy one from my side. How attached are esports fans to their local teams? Do they even care that it's a team founded nearby?
Okay, I guess. Okay, so let's talk about Germany, for example. Germany only has one Counter-Strike team that can actually compete on an international level. The majority of fans are BNG fans because we like to see our own team, our own nation winning, right? For local teams, it becomes harder and harder to actually capture and maintain that engagement from the users, from their fans. So unless you for example, Astralis, which is a Danish team, and that goes full Danish. Unless you go that route, and for whatever reason you have spectacular results on an international competition, it's very, very hard to maintain and grab the attention of that audience. So yeah, it's at the end of the day it's a sport, and not as many people are following the fourth league in Poland as there is, for example, Legia Warsaw.
I think that's it from us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to us during the day. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding esports. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.